Ignorance breeds fear. To teach soldiers of the United States Army exactly what atomic weapons can and cannot do, and thereby allay any unreasonable fears of the A-bomb, a series of atomic experiments have been held in the barren lands of Nevada during the past several years.
You are here to participate in an atomic maneuver. Atomic weapons are truly powerful, but they don't mean the end of all life as so many people think. You can live through an atomic attack, and by taking common sense precautions, live to fight another day.
A few miles away lies a sandy parcel of land called Ground Zero. No longer an anonymous, desolate stretch of land, Ground Zero is level, then topped with a series of concentric asphalt circles, forming an enormous target. Nearby, Signal Corps men lay communication lines to receive and transmit telephone and teletype messages. At the same time, the enormous task of excavating entrenchments for participating soldiers is underway.
Let's take a look at a typical atomic explosion. See what happens, and find out what there is to be afraid of and what we don't have to fear. First of all, what's our first inkling that an atomic bomb has gone off? That's a tremendous flash of bluish-white light, many times brighter than the sun, and a lot closer to you. Whether the bomb went off 5 or 55 miles away, you'll know that it has gone off by this light, and that you should take immediate action to protect yourself. As soon as that glare fades, you'll see a ball of fire at the point where the explosion occurred. This fireball turns from white to orange, then to a bright red. A brown, smoky-looking cloud soon begins to cover the fireball. This brown cloud rises very rapidly, and a stem of dust shoots up from the ground to meet it. This mushroom stem is made up of pulverized pieces of the ground below, the target. When the head of the cloud reaches very cold air, actual ice crystals form an ice cap over the cloud. The cloud itself is still hot and churning. So the ice flows down over the sides, mixing in through the cloud, eventually turning it pure white in color. This white mushroom, zooming up to 40 or 50,000 feet, may be several miles in diameter and be seen from many miles away. Eventually, the cloud drifts off, and you can't tell it from the other clouds in the sky. Watched from a safe distance, this explosion is one of the most beautiful sights ever seen by man. You're probably saying, so it's beautiful. What makes it so dangerous? Basically, there are only 3 things to think about: blast, heat, and radiation. The next thing to consider is, how long do you have to get down? The blast and the flying debris arrive at your position at the same time you hear the sound of the explosion. This means roughly about 5 seconds per mile for the shock wave to reach you. At a mile away, you've still got time to get into a hole. When you see that glare, hit the dirt, fast. So much for the blast from an atomic explosion. But what about the heat and flash of the detonation? The fireball is originally more than 1,000 times as hot as the surface of the sun. It sends out heat like a huge oven from the very first instant of detonation, right along with the white light. This heat comes out very rapidly. As a matter of fact, you are burned in the first half second. In the half second it takes for our brains to tell our muscles, A-bomb, take cover, we have already been burned. But at 1 mile, which is pretty close to one of these gadgets, ordinary clothing will protect you. Keep your sleeves rolled down and wear a hat. Of course, if you're in the shaded portion of a foxhole at the time of detonation, you are perfectly safe from the heat of the bomb. Anything that casts a shadow will protect you. Now, how far away can you be burned? Generally, within 3 miles or so of ground zero. But the weather has a lot to do with burning. Cloudy, rainy, snowy, foggy days will give you greater protection from the heat, and so will a smoke screen. You've heard a lot about blindness from an atomic explosion. I'm sure that all of you have looked at the sun sometime during your lives. When you did, you got spots in front of your eyes. The blindness from the white light of an atomic explosion is a somewhat magnified version of these spots. These spots will go away, and so will normal flash blindness from an atomic explosion. And for you doubting Thomases who are recalling that we told you not to look at that white light, well, the 3 or 4 minutes of sight that you'd lose would prevent you from seeing that magnificent sight immediately afterwards. And now we come to what a lot of people consider the $64 question, radiation. This is the one new effect obtained by the use of an atomic weapon. Truthfully, it's the least important of the 3 effects, as far as the soldier on the ground is concerned. Still, radiation affects the body much as an X-ray does. If enough is received, it can be fatal. From an airburst, however, this fatal dose of radiation can be gotten only fairly close to ground zero, with distances practically never exceeding 1 mile. Since buildings are destroyed by blast out to a couple of miles, and burning occurs maybe 3 miles away, you can see the radius of fatal radiation is much less. Radiation from the bomb comes in 4 forms. First, the alpha particle, or nucleus of the helium gas atom. Then the beta particle, or high-speed electron. Next, the gamma ray, or energetic X-ray. And finally, the neutron. Only the last 2, the gamma ray and the neutron, travel far enough to be considered in their effect on the human body. These radiations can be stopped by thick substances. Steel, concrete, and ordinary dirt offer good protection. As a matter of fact, 1 inch of steel, 4 inches of concrete, or 5 inches of dirt will cut out nearly half the radiation you would otherwise receive. Half of this airburst radiation occurs during the first second, the remaining half during the next 89 seconds. So the radiation hazard on the ground is over 90 seconds after the bomb goes off in the air. If you are above ground and get under at the end of 1 second, you can miss half the radiation completely. So, your best available protection from radiation is doing what you do to avoid debris hurtling toward you. You can't feel it, smell it, or taste it. Film badges and dosimeters issued to you enable the radiological safety monitor in your unit to read the amount of your exposure.
By remote control, the center operates hundreds of scientific instruments positioned near ground zero. While at ground zero, equipment is inspected in the display area so that comparisons may be made after the detonation.